everyone, welcome to the Screening Lady, and this is a clear attempt in trying to do something for Halloween before Halloween ends. Okay, so this is my trial for trying to be the other mom in 2009's Coraline, a movie written and directed by Henry Selick, but it's also, of course, more importantly, based on a book written by Neil Gaiman, one of my favorite authors, and I think one of the best authors too. Anyways, I tried to do something for Halloween, but this is all I could come up with. I didn't even have any buttons, so I decided to talk about the movie instead. Coraline is a movie that every young girl I feel should watch, not just during Halloween, but before you turn 13 or as part of like a bunch of other movies you should watch before you grow up. So in the movie, I know it's been years since I last saw the movie, and it's been even more years since I read the book. And actually, come to think of it, at my age, I relate more to Coraline's dad now than I did to Coraline like a decade ago. Anyway, we'll have to back it up a bit. Coraline starts out with her moving into this big old mansion with her parents. It's rented out to different tenants, and because Coraline is mostly left alone because her parents are so busy writing about garden catalogs and kind of being a bunch of assholes to Coraline, to be honest. She gets to meet the neighbors and meet this this landlady's son called YB, which is short for Yborn. And when you find out that Yborn is actually short for Why Were You Born, that's also a fucked up name for calling your child. That needs another story in itself. But there's a bunch of really cool characters as well. We get to meet these retired burlesque dancers. They kind of remind me of like super cool Golden Girls, Grace and Frankie vibe. But also this elderly gentleman voiced by Ian McShane, who is also an idol. He is a gentleman who trains a circus of mice. So, as Coraline gets to explore the house, she opens this door that just straight up leads to like an alternate plane or an alternate reality. We get to meet the other mom, and she looks exactly the same as her real mom, except she has, she cooks better, she lets Coraline do other stuff, and she has buttons for eyes. That's it. That's the clincher for the whole thing. There's buttons for eyes for these entities in the other reality or other plane, and it just rolls off the tongue easily now, buttons for eyes, but it can be pretty traumatizing at the right age. I mean, later on I'll show you how it looks like in the books, but if you read it when you're 8 or 9 maybe, or you watch it when you're younger, you're gonna have a thing against buttons for the rest of your life. It's like the same logic as being scared of mascots. These guys have lifeless eyes. Sorry, okay, let's back it up again. It's an hour and a half long, and it's just the right amount for a girl's imagination to take place, going into this new home, meeting these new people, and eventually trying to take out the bad guy. It's been more than a decade, so I guess it's okay if I go straight into the ending, but I'll give you a couple of seconds if you still haven't seen the movie. But yes, going back to the ending, the other mom is actually creepier than what the movie lets us to believe. I mean, essentially, it's an evil spirit living inside a house who's taken like 3 kids. Probably they've disappeared. It turns out one of them is actually the landlady's sister. And anyway, it's an evil spirit, and this young girl has to defend herself, has to save her parents, and save these 3 other souls all for herself. I think seeing this, through an adult eyes, I would just call Ed and Lorraine Warren or something and get rid of the spirit entirely. But through a child's eyes, a child's perspective, you see how it is exactly in the movies. It's colorful, it's vibrant. Kids turn something scary into something, magical in a way, or like just a trippy trance. Overall, I think Coraline still holds up. This is an actual DVD that I own, and look at it. It says limited time only plus a digital copy of the film. I don't think I ever transferred it to my PC back then, so I can't play this anymore. I did get to rent it digitally, but yeah, Coraline still holds up. I feel like I'm gonna have to force my nieces to watch this film when they turn 11 or 12. The animation is still awesome. It's still so impressive and psychedelic, and the music is still, it's like a whimsical carnivalish trance like vibe that I get to enjoy while watching the movie. It definitely heightens the experience. Okay, so I hate to be one of the person who was like, oh, in the books it was like this or it was like that, but I do want to highlight a couple of things. The first one is talking about buttons as eyes. It was really disturbing for me, especially when I saw this when I turned the book when I was like a teenager. So I don't know if YouTube will take me down for this, but I mean, if you see this as the other mom, nope, that's probably gonna give anyone nightmares, especially as a younger kid. But apart from that, I think this is one of the best quotes that I have lived by. So it says here, fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. And it's very apt for young girls to hear that. So let me know what you think of Coraline like 10 years later if you ever want to read the book again or see the movie again. And speaking of little girls, or speaking of young girls to look up to, next week I think I'm planning on watching a remake of a movie that's light as a feather and stiff as a board. Maybe let me know what you think. Bye!